Hey everyone, welcome to worship. I'm Micah.
And I'm Kiana. We are so glad you chose to join us today.
So I've been going to Calvary since I was a little kid, and what I've always loved about this church is it doesn't matter your age, race, or gender. You're truly welcome in the Calvary family, and I wholeheartedly believe in the mission that Calvary is trying to accomplish here.
I'm fairly new to Calvary, and from the moment I started coming, I have always felt welcome, and it kind of just seems like a big giant family, and I just feel awesome every Sunday when I come, and it's a refreshing way to start my week.
Calvary's mission is to lead all people to a lifelong faith in Jesus Christ. We want to be a church where you can just come as you are. You don't have to fit into any boxes. You don't have to be super religious or have it all together. You can just come as you are. You can be real here, and it's rare to find a church like that.
Before we worship, here are a couple ways you can get involved in our mission. Here at Calvary, one of the biggest events of the summer is Vacation Bible School, and we're planning for over 300 kids and another 100 volunteers. We want all kids to know the love of Jesus. It's going to be a week filled with games, goofiness, Bible stories, worship, and lots of fun. It's totally free. Sign your kids up, grandkids, and neighbors' kids online today at calvaryalex.org. All are welcome.
Something tells me we have something in common. I'm guessing, like me, we've always wanted to read the Bible but aren't so sure where to start. Calvary wants to help. You are invited to join us this summer as we walk through the book of the Bible called John. But here's the deal. We're going to do it in a unique way. If you scan the QR code on the screen or go to our website, you can sign up for a daily video devotion. Once you sign up this summer, Monday through Friday, you'll get a text sent to your phone with a link to a quick devotion prepared by the Calvary team, and together we'll figure out how to read the Bible. I hope you'll join us.
Again, welcome to worship today. Whether this is your first time with us or you've been coming to Calvary for ages, we don't believe you're here by accident.
We believe God led you here, and we hope you experience the love of Jesus this morning. Now let's worship.
Hey everybody, Pastor Hans here. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Hey, I want to start with a story today. A while back, my son, he wanted to start running. And so we went down into our basement where we have a treadmill, and he hopped on that treadmill, but he had never used the treadmill before, and so he started by just simply walking until he got a little comfortable with walking on that treadmill, and then he hit the little up arrow to make that treadmill go a little bit faster, and before you know it, he's jogging, and he got comfortable with that, and then he hit the up arrow again that made the treadmill go a little bit faster, and before you know it, he's running, and he's feeling comfortable with that until he hits the button, and all of a sudden, he's in a dead-out sprint. He is running as fast as he possibly can on this treadmill. And before you know it, he realizes something. He realizes that the treadmill is going faster than he can keep up. He realizes he can no longer reach the controls in front of him to slow it down. And before you know it, do you know what happens? The treadmill kicks him off the back of the treadmill, and his size 13 foot goes through the wall behind the treadmill, people. My favorite part about that story is this. The next day when I found the hole in the wall, I said to my son, I said, "Hey, buddy, what happened?" He looked at me and he said, "I have no idea." Folks, I think that treadmill is a great analogy for the lives that people like you and me live. I mean, think about it. Many of us, we go to school and we graduate from school and we got all these school loans. So then we got to go and get a job. Well, to get to that job, we got to buy a car. We got to take out a loan. And so we got to work even more hours. And before we know it, we meet a girl, and that girl becomes a girlfriend. And then the girl becomes a wife, and that wife starts having babies, right? And those babies, they play soccer, they go to dance, they play hockey, they got to have braces. And before you know it, your wife's pregnant again. So you got to buy a bigger house to fit all those kids in. And then comes the lake cabin and the surf boat and the ice castle and the camper and the trip to Tahiti. And before you know it, you are running on that treadmill faster faster than you were created to run. You find yourself multitasking. You're brushing your teeth while you're in the shower. You're sending work text message while you're sitting on the toilet. And you wake up one day wondering, is this all there is in life? Is running constantly? I mean, how do I find time for the things that matter the most in life? You see, folks, we're in the midst of a worship series we've called Unplugged. We kicked it off last week, and here's what the series is all about. We believe here at Calvary that God didn't create us for busy, to live lives where we are constantly strung out, where we're constantly feeling like we're pulled in every which direction, we're constantly distracted. We have a God who actually invites people like you and me to unplug every now and then. And so here's how this series is going. Last week we kicked off the series and we asked the question, how do I unplug? If you missed that, I invite you to go back on YouTube or on our website and check that message out. But today we're going to talk about how so many of us were too busy for what matters. And next week, Pastor Angie's going to talk about how so many of us, we live lives where we're just distracted all the time. And I'm going to wrap up the series the last couple of weeks talking about social media. We're going to talk about how so many of us were living for likes, but really we're all longing for love. And the last week, I'm going to talk about how we live an unfiltered life in a filtered world. But today I want to get into this idea that so many of us, we're too busy for the things that really matter by just kind of offering up a confession. And the confession is this: I don't do slow really well. My team here at the church, they know this. I'm a nose to the grindstone, get her done sort of guy. We have a mission here at the church and we're going to get it done. At home, I've always got projects to do. I've always got a list. There are golf courses to golf. There are birds to hunt. There are fish to catch. There are Netflix series to binge watch, people. That's who I am. If you know me, you know that's what I'm like. But here's what I've realized over the last couple of years. Here's the effect all my busyness has on the people around me. My busyness is at the expense of the people who matter the most in my life. It's true for me, it's true for you. I can regularly justify missing dinner with my family. I regularly can justify, no, family, we don't need to take that vacation. I've got this work stuff to do. I regularly can justify not spending time with friends. I regularly can justify why I couldn't take the night off to play catch with my kids in the backyard. So this message today, I'm just going to warn you, it's a bit of a therapy session for me, but maybe you'll find it helpful as well. And here's what I want to do. I want to take a look at something very unique in the life of Jesus. It's sort of a little characteristic of Jesus that maybe you never noticed before. Jesus died about the age of 30. He really only had 3 years of ministry. And during those 3 years, it is remarkable to think about what Jesus did. He gathered this gang of disciples. He trained them. He went around the countryside teaching. He taught on hillsides. He taught in synagogues. He taught on the front steps of buildings around Jerusalem. He did all these things. He confronted the religious leaders of his time. He fed the poor. He healed the sick. In a remarkable way, he started a movement that would really change the world. And he did it all in 3 years. But here's a little detail about Jesus' life that maybe you've never noticed before. The truth about Jesus is this: Jesus never ran. Jesus was never busy. Jesus was never hurried. The Bible never speaks of Jesus running anywhere, Jesus speed walking anywhere. Jesus always had a healthy pace in his life. Passages that talk about Jesus' pace in life look something like this. Once, again, Jesus went out beside the lake. A large crowd came to him, and he began to teach them as he, read this with me, walked along. That's sort of the pace that Jesus always had. He was simply walking along. And because he was at a healthy pace, look at what happens. It says he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. "Follow me," Jesus told him, and Levi got up and followed. Because Jesus took a slower pace, he noticed people. You see, here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus, he never ran. He never ran. The very beginning of his ministry, he was about 26, 27 years old. His ministry began with an event that was pretty remarkable. He was baptized by John in the river Jordan. And as he came up out of the water, there was a voice from heaven that said, "This is my son, my beloved, with whom I am well pleased." It was like Jesus was saying, okay, as if God was saying, your ministry can start now. This is your start date. You go heal the sick, you go feed the poor. Do you know what Jesus did on his first day of work? He went on vacation. The Bible says he went out into the desert. He went on sort of a camping trip, a time of rest for 40 days in the wilderness. See, here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus never ran. Jesus' first miracle, he was at a wedding banquet. And at that wedding banquet, he must have stayed pretty darn late because all the wine ran out. Do you know what Jesus did? He didn't go home because he had so much to do. Jesus said, "This party can't stop. We're going to make some more wine and keep the party going." You see, here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus never ran. When he came to Jerusalem on that first Palm Sunday, Jesus didn't ride a horse or a stallion, something that could fly into town. No, Jesus ran on some old donkey. Why? Because Jesus never ran. There was a guy named Jairus in the Bible. His daughter was dying. He was a religious official of sorts of that time. He had exhausted all possibility of trying to save his daughter. So he went to Jesus and said, "Jesus, would you just come and see my daughter?" Jesus says, "Of course I will." But as Jesus was heading to Jairus' house, do you know what happened? He got distracted by some other woman. And instead of going straight to Jairus' house, he spent time off on the side. And do you know what happened? Jairus' daughter, she died. Now, Jesus would eventually get there and heal his daughter. But here's the thing about Jesus. Jesus never ran. He was never hurried. Jesus never said, I'm just too busy today. You see, Jesus never ran. And so my question for people like you and me today is this. If Jesus wasn't rushed, why are we? Why are we always rushed? If you consider yourself a Christian, and we follow a God who was never hurried, doesn't that sort of give us permission to sort of live life at a lower pace? I mean, if we're the sort of people that follow a Jesus who was never rushed, doesn't that sort of suggest that you and I can live with a similar sort of pace? I mean, just imagine how that might change you, how that could change your life. In the book of Matthew, Jesus says these words, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you more to do." It doesn't say that. What did Jesus say? You know what Jesus said. He said this, "Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you what? I will give you rest." The Message translation of this passage is just perfect for us today. Here's how the Message translates this passage. Are you tired? Are you worn out? Are you burned out by religion? Well, come to me, Jesus says. Get away with me and I'll recover your life. I'll show you how to take a real rest, he says. Walk with me and work with me. Watch how I do it. Learn the unforced rhythms of grace. I won't lay anything heavy or ill-fitting on you. Keep company with me and you'll learn to live freely and lightly. You'll learn to live freely and lightly. You see, Jesus ran at a slower pace. So why wouldn't you and I, if we consider ourselves followers of Jesus, do the same? Well, here's what I want to suggest. The reason we are always running, always busy, always on the move is this. Most of us, we're either running from something or we're running towards something. I mean, all of us, we're either running from this, from a dysfunctional family. Maybe you're running from a feeling of insignificance. You're running from a feeling that I'm just too small in this great big world. Maybe you're running from abuse. Or maybe you're running towards something. You're running towards some image you have of success. You're running towards some accumulated wealth you think you've got to attain. You're running towards some achievement. You're running towards something you think will bring your life safety. We're all either running from something or towards something. The problem is our lives are like my son on the treadmill. We're running, and we keep going faster and faster and faster. And here's the thing about a treadmill. You can run as fast as you want for as long as you want. You can put on a whole lot of miles. But when you're running on a treadmill, you're honestly never getting anywhere. And here's the thing. When we live lives like that, it leaves us asking, why is there never enough time for the things that matter most? Here's what's interesting about all of us. We have time for what you choose to have time for. You have time for what you choose to have time for. Let me give you a couple examples of this. Do you know, on average, how many hours people spend on social media every year? The average adult spends 872 hours every year on social media. If you are a young adult or you're a high school student, you are an overachiever. High school students spend 1,800 hours a year on social media. Get this. The average son or daughter spends just 206 hours face-to-face with their parent. You see, here's the truth. You have time for what you choose to take time for. How about television? The average adult spends 1,500 hours every year watching television. If you are 65 years of age or older, you have spent 9 years of your life in front of the television. You see, the truth is you have time for what you choose to have time for. How about this? Young men, I want to talk to you for a second. The average 21-year-old guy has spent 10,000 hours playing video games. 10,000 hours. Do you know what you can do with 10,000 hours? You could get a law degree. You could become a doctor. You could get your pilot's license. You could meet a beautiful woman and fall in love. The truth of all of us is this. You have time for what you choose to have time for. Now, some of you are listening and going, oh, that's all great, Pastor. I've listened to you now for about 15 minutes. My question is this. So what do I do? What do I do? I'm going to be honest with you. I have absolutely no idea. I don't know what you need to do. But I know this is a problem in my life. And I'm taking some steps personally to try and do something about it. Here's why I know it's a problem. Last week we introduced this series, and my stepmother, she watched the message. And do you know what she texted me back? In that message, I admitted I'm sort of a workaholic. She sent me a text message, and it said this. It said, "Great message. Yes, you work too much," with about 17 exclamation points after it. I know this is an issue for me. And here's what I also know, that we have a God who created us with limits. Our bodies are made with limits. So what's going to stop you and I from our busyness? Will it be a heart attack? Will it be a broken marriage? Will it be your mental health? Will it be you sort of self-medicating into alcoholism? You see, God created us with limits. Now, here's the thing I know about God. God is love. In 1 John, we hear these words. Say it with me. God is love. And all who live in love live in God, and God lives in them. God is love, and if you consider yourself a Christian, our Christian calling, the invitation from God is that we too live in that love, that we are that love in the world, that we lead with love. The author John Comer, in a new book called The Ruthless Elimination of Hurry, he writes these words: love is incompatible with hurry. It's absolutely incompatible with hurry. And Jesus seems to suggest the same. In a Bible passage that was likely read at your wedding, if you are married, from 1 Corinthians chapter 13, Jesus describes what love actually is. He says this. He says, love is what? Love is patient. The first phrase Jesus uses to describe what love is that love is patient. We don't even have to read the rest, because for Jesus, the most important thing in love is that love is not hurried, it is not busy, it is not racing, it is not running, it is not even speed walking. The sort of love that you and I are invited into, that love is patient. So I want to close today by suggesting something, by actually suggesting a prayer that we could all pray each and every day, to be quite honest. And that prayer goes like this. Read this with me. God, help me walk slowly enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. I mean, I wonder what would happen if we prayed that prayer every day. God, help me to walk slowly enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. I wonder if it could just maybe make us more present with the people we care about the most, present with our sons and our daughters and our spouses, present with our coworkers, more present with our friends. You see, here's what I find in my own life. I find that I'm often physically present, but mentally, I'm just not there. I'm thinking about all the things I need to get done. Around our house, we've found that our family, we're often physically present, but emotionally and mentally, we're not present. We're all on our devices, doing our own things. And we're figuring out that, did you know this? That your cell phone has a power button. You can actually shut your phone off. We're trying to figure out how to do that at our house. You see, what if we prayed that prayer, folks? Pray it with me. God, help me walk slowly enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. Jesus did a lot in his short life. But in his ministry, it's interesting. If you follow Jesus' life, he was never running. He was always walking. And get this, he was always walking somewhere. He was walking towards Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, he would meet the cross. Jesus, throughout his life, was always walking slowly towards the cross. We could say it was a walk of love. As I think of Jesus, his pace of life and where he was going in his life, that walk of love, I wonder what would it be like for us as a church, as people who follow Jesus, to emulate that, to do the same. I mean, folks, what if we were known as the church filled with people willing to walk a slow walk of love with those around us, with those people in our lives, in our world? We're hurting. Man, there are so many people hurting right now. There are people hurting financially with gas at $600 a gallon and the cost of housing through the roof. What would it look like for us to walk the slow walk of love with them? You think about people in our community here in Alexandria. They had their homes destroyed in recent tornadoes. What does it look like for us to walk the slow walk of love? We all have friends who are going through divorce. We have friends whose kids maybe aren't turning out the way they imagine. What would it look like for us to be the people in our community who are known for walking the slow walk of love with others? Folks, one more time, pray that prayer with me. God, help me walk slowly enough to experience Jesus fully and love people deeply. Amen.
on every side. I still know I'm not abandoned, though the ways of God aren't mine. I still know I'm not forsaken. Take all the breath in my lungs. You'll hear the rocks crying glory to God. Take everything that I've got, and you'll see two empty hands lifted up. You may silence me, but the cross forever speaks. Though I'm filled with questions why, I still know I'm not abandoned. Though I suffer in this life, I still know I'm not forsaken. Take all the breath in my lungs. You'll hear the rocks crying glory to God. Take everything that I've got, and you'll see two empty hands lifted up. You may silence me, but the cross forever speaks. Forgiveness for my enemies, mercy and grace. I am set free. The price of love is paid in full. His blood poured out. How beautiful. Take all the breath in my lungs. You'll hear the rocks crying glory to God. Take everything that I've got, and you'll see two empty hands lifted up. You may silence me, but the cross forever speaks. You may silence me, but the cross forever speaks. Thank you so much for joining us for worship today. Please join us in praying the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Hey everybody, thank you so much for tuning in with us for worship today. If this is your first time with us, I want to invite you to consider taking a next step with us. It's a pretty easy one. Just head out to our website, calvaryalec.org, And there, hit the button that says sign up for email. Every week we send out a little note to share with you all that's going on here at Calvary and ways that you can get involved with us as we navigate the journey of faith. We'd love for you to take that easy little next step. The other thing I'd invite you to consider is joining us. If you're ever in the Alexandria area, join us for in-person worship. During the summer months, we worship 2 times on Sunday. The first is a traditional service here at the church at 8:30 on Sunday mornings. The second is a unique experience called Calvary at the Lake out at Luther Crest Bible Camp. It's a beautiful setting, lakeside. We worship outdoors. You can come for worship at 10:30, but if you come early at 9:30, we'll serve you a tasty brunch. As we close today, I just want to say thank you for your generosity. Your generosity allows us to reach hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people each and every week with the love of Jesus. So thank you. You can make your offerings today in any of the ways that's found on the screen. You can go to our website, click on the Give button. There you can make a one-time or a reoccurring gift. Probably the easiest way to make your gift is by using Venmo, that app on your phone. Third way to make your gift is simply write a check, drop it in the mail, send it to the address on the screen. And if you're not certain how to make your gift, just feel free to give us a call in the church office. Folks, thanks so much for tuning in. Have a great week.